So if I could go back in time and give myself some advice before I got into business, before I decided being a business owner or an entrepreneur was the route for me, what advice will I give myself? I think I've been very fortunate in the industry that I'm in to be around a lot of what I would consider really successful people, not just because of how much money they make, but just like the kind of lives that they lead and things like that. And there's a lot of things I've learned, but I think these will be the top 3 things that I would focus on that I think will really change the game for me. The first one is, I think, just telling my younger self that success is not really a destination, is a journey. You become successful as you go through what you need to go through. And there's a quote that says, grow through what you go through. And I think that's really what success is when it comes to that. And I would really tell myself is like, it's not a destination, because that's kind of how I used to treat it. It's like, when I become successful. But really, I think it is as I become successful, because it's consistently happening. It's like the things you're learning, how you're growing, the person you're becoming along the way. I think all of that is more important than just like a line or a mark in the sand of like how much money I want to make for me to consider myself successful. The next one, I think association weighs more than qualification. And I think when we first start a task, right, we really try to qualify ourselves. Can I do this? Do I have the right qualifications? Do I have what it takes to measure in this line of work? And I think that's important, of course, because it's a natural human instinct. But I think association matters more than that. It's about who you're around, because if you're around the right people, you're going to fall. That's supposed to happen. I think that's a part of doing an industry that you've never done. I think that's a part of growing in general. But if you're around the right people, they'll teach you how to get up, right? And it's not about them picking you up every single time, because I think that could create other issues down the line. It's about them teaching you how they got up when they were in your position, so you can get up as well. Learning from people. And I was going over a workshop with my leadership team earlier, and I was talking to them like, some of success is taught, but most of it is caught, right? You just have to be around the right people and you'll catch it, right? It's almost like you got to think about it like it's contagious. Just like, COVID happened. COVID was contagious. So, 6 feet. You want to be 6 feet away from people, because if you're not 6 feet away, if they have something, you might catch it. So it's kind of like the same thing, except this one's on more of a positive side. I want to catch what they have. If someone's successful, I want to understand how they think, what their perspective are, how do they view things that happen in life, what their general worldview, what's their relationship like, and things like that. And then when you're around people like that, that association alone qualifies you down the line, because you just have the experience, you have the support, essentially, where not only do you know how to succeed, you know how to fail, because I think that's what matters the most. It's like, okay, how does this person who's so successful, how do they handle when things don't go their way? And I think when you learn that from people, you start understanding really the value of associating and being around the right people. And then the last thing that I would tell myself is fail fast and fail often. So many people, and I know even till this day, it happens all the time. We are so afraid of failure because we think failure is like, that's the end of it. Funny enough, this book that's right here called Go For Now. In the book, what he talks about is most people think that this is you as a person. To the right is success, and then to the left is failure. So I have to be really meticulous in how I make my decision, because if I turn right, I'm going to succeed. If I turn left, I'm going to fail. And what he talks about in the book is that's not true. Success and failure are both in the same direction. I just got to go through failure in order for me to get to success. So if I was just a lot more willing to not just overthink what's happening, am I going to make the right decision? Am I going to do this? And a lot of the times in business, it is more beneficial for you to make the wrong decision fast than to make the right decision slow. So you just go in, fail. So what? That's why you have coaches, you have mentors, you have books and videos and things you can watch that's going to educate you. But also what you just learned when you fail is like, that's one way that does not work. Let me find another way. And then you try that way. If it doesn't work, you find another one. It doesn't work, you find another one. So you fail fast and fail often. The faster you fail, the faster you can get back up and try it again. I think it's a quote from Thomas Edison about the light bulb. And they asked him, how did he find the way that worked? He said, I didn't find one way that worked. I just found 1,000 other ways that didn't. Because he kept trying different things over and over and over again. I think that's a very clear picture of failing and failing fast, because the faster you fail, just like I was saying about that analogy, you keep failing and failing and failing, and eventually you run into success that way. But those are the 3 pieces of advice I would give myself, and I think it would have made everything happen a lot smoother. But obviously, hindsight 2020, I'm very grateful for everything I've learned so far, but those are advice that I would give my younger self.